Losing a job is a deeply unsettling experience. For the protagonist, a middle-aged father of two, it was not just about the financial strain but also about the anxiety of providing for his family. With a mortgage to pay and 2 children in school, the loss of a steady income meant immediate lifestyle adjustments. He and his wife, Julia, sat down to reassess their budget. The biggest expenses were, unsurprisingly, the mortgage, utilities, and groceries. They couldn't cut down much on the first two, but the third offered some possibilities. Julia, who had grown up on a farm, suggested growing some of their own vegetables. The idea seemed practical. Fresh produce would cut down their grocery bills, provide healthier meals, and keep them busy during this uncertain period. However, their suburban neighborhood had limited backyard space due to a large deck and children's play area. This left only the driveway as a feasible option for a small garden. With determination, the protagonist spent the next few days acquiring large containers, soil, and seedlings. He started with tomatoes, bell peppers, lettuce, and a few herbs. He arranged them neatly along the edge of the driveway, ensuring they didn't obstruct the pathway. Each morning, he would water them and track their growth. The garden quickly became a source of pride, something productive amid the chaos of unemployment. Julia even joked that he might have discovered his hidden talent. However, this newfound hobby didn't go unnoticed. While some neighbors admired his efforts, one person, in particular, saw it as an unwelcome change to their pristine suburban setting. Patricia, the self-appointed enforcer of the neighborhood's homeowners association, HoA, had always been vocal about maintaining the community's appearance. She considered herself the guardian of property values and took it upon herself to ensure that no house deviated from the HoA's aesthetic guidelines. It wasn't long before she noticed the containers lining the protagonist's driveway. One afternoon, as he watered his plants, he caught sight of Patricia standing across the street, arms crossed, her expression one of disapproval. Moments later, she took out her phone and started snapping pictures. A sinking feeling settled in his stomach. He knew what this meant. That evening, an email arrived from the HoA. The subject line read, "Violation Notice, Unapproved Exterior Modifications." The email, written in a formal and impersonal tone, stated that the unsightly garden was in violation of community standards and must be removed immediately. The message was signed by Richard, the HoA president, and included an attachment with pictures of his driveway garden, clearly taken by Patricia. Frustration surged through him. Nowhere in the HoA guidelines was there a rule explicitly prohibiting container gardens. He responded to the email, politely asking for clarification on which exact rule he had violated. A few hours later, Richard replied, vaguely citing the need for uniformity in the neighborhood and suggesting that alternative gardening options, like a backyard setup, would be preferable. The protagonist wasn't willing to back down so easily. He decided to push back. Despite Richard's vague response, the protagonist refused to remove the garden. Instead, he printed out a copy of the HoA's bylaws and carefully combed through every section. Nowhere did it say that container gardens were prohibited. Feeling emboldened, he sent another email, this time pointing out the lack of any rule violation and requesting a formal hearing if the HoA insisted on taking action against him. A week later, a letter arrived in the mail. It was an official warning from the HoA board, restating their stance and issuing a deadline. He had 72 hours to remove the plants, or he would begin accruing fines. Determined to prove his point, the protagonist started documenting other violations in the neighborhood. Patricia's own home had decorative lawn ornaments clearly against the supposed uniformity guidelines. Another neighbor had an oversized shed in their backyard, and several driveways had basketball hoops mounted above their garages. None of these had received warnings. He printed the photos, along with excerpts from the bylaws, and prepared to present them at the next HoA meeting. But just as he was getting ready for the confrontation, he noticed something alarming. His neighbors who had expressed support for his garden were now receiving their own HoA violation notices, many for trivial infractions like leaving trash bins visible for too long or minor lawn maintenance delays. The HoA was retaliating. It became clear that the HoA was singling him out while turning a blind eye to other violations. This selective enforcement wasn't just unfair, it was personal. As he walked through the neighborhood, he noticed several homes that had features completely out of sync with the HoA's so-called uniform appearance: decorative fences, colorful shutters, even an outdoor fire pit. None of these homes had been cited. He reached out to some of his neighbors, and they confirmed that they had never been warned or fined for their design choices. Some of them, who had previously supported his garden, were now hesitant to speak out, fearing retaliation. The few who did voice their concerns soon found themselves on the receiving end of petty violation notices. The HoA's message was clear: support the garden, and you'll suffer consequences. With growing frustration, the protagonist compiled all his evidence, photos, HoA bylaws, and email exchanges, and reached out to a local attorney who specialized in property disputes. The lawyer confirmed his suspicions. The HoA was engaging in selective enforcement, which could be legally challenged. Before he could take legal action, however, the situation escalated further. Despite the HoA's intimidation tactics, some neighbors refused to be bullied. A few quietly reached out to express their support, offering to write letters and testify if needed. Word spread quickly, and soon, more people in the neighborhood began questioning the HoA's authority. A local Facebook group dedicated to community discussions became the battleground. A post about the protagonist's struggle with the HoA quickly gained traction. Some residents defended the HoA's stance, arguing that property values depended on strict enforcement of rules. Others, however, saw the situation for what it was: an overreach by a power-hungry HoA board. Among those who defended the garden was an elderly woman named Mrs. Dawson, who had lived in the neighborhood for over 30 years. She shared how the HoA had become increasingly restrictive over the years, turning what was once a friendly community into a rigidly controlled environment. Her comments sparked even more outrage. Feeling the tide shifting, the protagonist organized a neighborhood meeting at his home. More than a dozen families showed up, many of whom had also been frustrated by the HoA's heavy-handedness. Together, they discussed ways to challenge the board, from petitioning for rule changes to replacing board members in the next election. But just as their movement was gaining momentum, the sabotage began. As the protagonist refuses to comply with the HoA's unreasonable demands, the fines start piling up. At first, they seem like mere annoyances, $50 here, $100 there, but soon they become a financial strain. The HoA leverages every possible bylaw to penalize the protagonist. A garbage can left out a few minutes past pickup time? Fine. A flower bed not perfectly symmetrical? Fine. The harassment extends beyond monetary punishment. The HoA members start showing up at odd hours, inspecting every inch of the protagonist's property, knocking on their door under the guise of routine checks. Neighbors, once friendly, grow distant. Some fear being targeted next, while others are firm believers in the HoA's authority. The protagonist begins to feel isolated, a pariah in their own community. The emotional toll is heavy: sleepless nights, constant anxiety, and a nagging feeling of being watched. But instead of surrendering, the protagonist decides to push back harder. Determined to uncover why the HoA is so relentless, the protagonist starts digging. Through public records, whispered conversations with disgruntled neighbors, and late-night research sessions, they begin to piece together a disturbing truth: the HoA president and a few board members have been exploiting their power for financial gain. Contractors hired for neighborhood maintenance have direct ties to the president's family. The excessive fines, many of them are funneled into a slush fund rather than community improvements. Armed with this knowledge, the protagonist tries to rally support among neighbors. Some listen, nodding warily, but fear keeps most of them silent. The HoA has a reputation for retaliation, and few are willing to risk their peace. The protagonist realizes they need concrete proof, something undeniable that will force the entire community to wake up. The protagonist installs discreet security cameras, documents every fine, and compiles financial statements obtained through legal channels. They also reach out to local journalists, hoping to expose the corruption on a larger scale. An unexpected ally emerges: a former HoA board member who left under suspicious circumstances. This person confirms the protagonist's suspicions, providing insider information on the fraudulent activities. Together, they strategize a way to present their findings without exposing themselves to immediate retaliation. Meanwhile, the protagonist's home continues to be targeted. Anonymous complaints flood in, leading to surprise inspections and even threats of foreclosure. The stress is overwhelming, but the protagonist refuses to back down. With enough evidence in hand, the protagonist releases a detailed report online and forwards it to local news outlets. The exposé goes viral within the community, sparking outrage. The HoA scrambles to control the narrative, but the evidence is too damning. Residents begin to question every fine, every rule, and every dollar the HoA has collected. As public opinion turns against the board, key members start resigning in an attempt to save face. But the protagonist knows the battle isn't over yet. Legal action is needed to dismantle the corruption completely. With the help of a lawyer specializing in HoA abuses, the protagonist and other affected residents file a class action lawsuit. The legal battle is grueling, filled with bureaucratic hurdles and intimidation tactics from the remaining HoA loyalists. But the case gains traction, drawing attention from state officials who launch an independent investigation. The final blow comes when the former board member-turned-ally testifies, revealing incriminating documents. The court rules in favor of the residents, ordering financial restitution and the dissolution of the corrupt board. The protagonist, though exhausted, finally feels a sense of justice. The once oppressive neighborhood begins to change, as new leadership emerges with promises of fairness and transparency. Despite the victory, scars remain. Trust in community governance is shattered, and some residents move away, unable to shake the memories of the ordeal. But for the protagonist, staying means proving that standing up against corruption, no matter how powerful, can make a difference. Innovation and technology have always been the driving forces behind societal progress. From the steam engine to artificial intelligence, each era has witnessed breakthroughs that have reshaped the way we live, work, and interact. Today, we are at the forefront of another revolution, where advancements in artificial intelligence, quantum computing, and biotechnology are redefining human potential. The impact of innovation can be seen across multiple sectors. In healthcare, AI-driven diagnostics and robotic-assisted surgeries are improving patient outcomes. Personalized medicine, enabled by genetic sequencing, is allowing for tailored treatments that enhance efficacy and reduce side effects. Moreover, wearable technology is empowering individuals to monitor their health in real time, leading to proactive rather than reactive medical care. In business, automation and AI are increasing efficiency and productivity. Companies are leveraging big data to make informed decisions, predict consumer behavior, and optimize supply chains. The gig economy, fueled by digital platforms, is providing flexible work opportunities for millions worldwide. However, innovation also presents challenges. Ethical considerations, such as data privacy, job displacement due to automation, and the digital divide, must be addressed. Governments and organizations must work together to ensure that technological advancements benefit all of humanity rather than a select few. Ultimately, the future will be shaped by how well we harness innovation. Emphasizing responsible technological development, investing in education and res-killing programs, and fostering an environment of creativity will be crucial in ensuring a future where technology serves as a force for good. Climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our time, posing significant threats to ecosystems, economies, and human livelihoods. The rise in global temperatures, melting glaciers, and increasing frequency of extreme weather events are clear indicators of the changing climate. To combat this crisis, sustainable development has become an imperative rather than a choice. Sustainability revolves around three core pillars: environmental, economic, and social sustainability. From an environmental standpoint, reducing greenhouse gas emissions, transitioning to renewable energy sources, and promoting conservation efforts are vital. The shift towards a circular economy, where waste is minimized and resources are reused, is gaining momentum worldwide. On the economic front, businesses are recognizing the importance of sustainable practices. Green technologies, such as solar and wind energy, are not only environmentally friendly but also economically viable. Companies adopting sustainable supply chain practices are reducing costs while enhancing their corporate reputation. Social sustainability involves ensuring equity, inclusivity, and access to resources for all. Marginalized communities often bear the brunt of climate change effects, making it essential to implement policies that support climate justice. Despite the challenges, there is hope. Governments are committing to international agreements like the Paris Accord, organizations are prioritizing corporate social responsibility, CSR, and individuals are making eco-conscious choices. The future depends on our collective efforts to strike a balance between development and environmental preservation. Education has undergone a profound transformation with the advent of digital technology. Traditional classroom settings are being complemented, and in some cases, replaced by online learning platforms, virtual classrooms, and artificial intelligence-driven tutoring systems. One of the biggest advantages of digital education is accessibility. Online courses allow students from remote areas to access quality education, bridging the gap between urban and rural learners. Platforms like Coursera, Khan Academy, and Udemy provide courses from top universities and experts, democratizing knowledge. The personalization of education is another significant benefit. AI-driven adaptive learning systems analyze a student's strengths and weaknesses, tailoring content accordingly. This individualized approach enhances learning efficiency and helps students grasp concepts at their own pace. However, digital education is not without its challenges. The digital divide, where students from low-income backgrounds lack access to reliable internet and devices, is a major concern. Additionally, concerns about data privacy, screen fatigue, and the effectiveness of virtual learning compared to in-person instruction persist. To navigate these challenges, a hybrid approach that blends traditional and digital methods is emerging. Incorporating experiential learning, fostering critical thinking, and promoting digital literacy are essential in preparing students for the future workforce. Ultimately, education must evolve continually to keep up with the demands of an ever-changing world. Globalization has interconnected the world like never before, leading to a fusion of cultures, ideas, and traditions. The exchange of cultural elements, whether through media, cuisine, fashion, or language, has enriched societies. However, it has also sparked debates about cultural homogenization and identity preservation. One of the positive aspects of cultural globalization is increased cultural appreciation and understanding. People have access to diverse perspectives through global cinema, literature, and art. Culinary experiences from different parts of the world are now enjoyed universally, and multilingualism is becoming more common. On the flip side, globalization can sometimes lead to the erosion of indigenous cultures. The dominance of certain global powers, particularly Western culture, has influenced local traditions, often at the expense of cultural heritage. Small communities struggle to preserve their languages, customs, and crafts in the face of mass consumerism and global media influences. To maintain cultural identity while embracing globalization, there must be a conscious effort to celebrate and safeguard traditions. Education plays a crucial role in teaching younger generations about their roots. Governments and organizations must support cultural preservation initiatives, ensuring that globalization remains an exchange rather than an imposition. Ultimately, a balanced approach that allows for cultural diversity while respecting heritage will lead to a more harmonious global society where uniqueness is valued rather than overshadowed. Artificial intelligence, AI, and machine learning, ML, have revolutionized numerous industries, from healthcare and finance to entertainment and cybersecurity. While AI-driven systems enhance efficiency and accuracy, they also raise significant ethical concerns that must be addressed to ensure responsible development. One major concern is bias in AI algorithms. Since AI learns from data, if the data used to train models is biased, the output will be biased as well. This has been evident in cases of AI-driven hiring systems that unintentionally discriminate against certain demographics or facial recognition technology that shows racial biases. Addressing this requires diverse and representative datasets, as well as stringent testing protocols. Ethics plays a fundamental role in decision-making across personal, professional, and societal contexts. Ethical decision-making involves evaluating the moral implications of choices and striving for integrity and fairness. Ethics guide individuals and organizations in making responsible choices that align with societal values and expectations. Ethical theories, such as utilitarianism, deontology, and virtue ethics, provide frameworks for evaluating moral decisions. Utilitarianism focuses on the greatest good for the greatest number, while deontology emphasizes duty and rules. Virtue ethics, on the other hand, highlights character and virtues. Individuals can develop ethical decision-making skills through education, experience, and reflection. Organizations can foster ethical cultures by implementing clear policies, training programs, and leadership that models integrity. Ultimately, ethical decision-making is essential for building trust, sustaining relationships, and ensuring long-term success. Adaptability is a crucial skill in today's rapidly evolving world. The ability to adjust to new circumstances, technologies, and challenges determines success in both personal and professional life. Adaptability is especially important in the workplace, where industries are constantly transformed by automation, artificial intelligence, and globalization. One key aspect of adaptability is continuous learning. With the fast-paced nature of modern industries, employees must embrace lifelong learning to stay relevant. This can involve acquiring new skills, pursuing further education, or simply staying informed about industry trends. Companies that encourage adaptability among employees tend to be more innovative and competitive. Adaptability also plays a vital role in leadership. Leaders who can navigate change, inspire teams, and make quick yet informed decisions are more effective. For instance, during the COVID-19 pandemic, businesses that adapted to remote work and digital transformation thrived, while those resistant to change struggled. On a personal level, adaptability enhances resilience and mental well-being. People who embrace change and uncertainty with a positive mindset tend to experience less stress and anxiety. Developing adaptability involves being open-minded, willing to experiment, and proactive in facing challenges. Societally, adaptability determines how well communities respond to crises such as climate change, economic downturns, and technological disruptions. Governments and institutions must design policies that promote flexibility and innovation to navigate an unpredictable future. Technology continues to shape the future of humanity, influencing everything from communication to healthcare, education, and entertainment. Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence, AI, blockchain, biotechnology, and quantum computing have the potential to revolutionize industries and everyday life. AI is transforming how businesses operate, enabling automation, predictive analytics, and personalized experiences. However, concerns about AI ethics, job displacement, and data privacy must be addressed to ensure responsible AI development. Blockchain technology is disrupting finance through decentralized currencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, while also enhancing security in supply chains and data management. Biotechnology advancements, including gene editing and personalized medicine, are improving healthcare outcomes. The CRISPR gene editing tool, for example, holds promise for curing genetic diseases, but ethical debates surround its potential misuse. Similarly, quantum computing is poised to solve complex problems beyond the capabilities of traditional computers, impacting fields like cryptography and materials science. Despite these advancements, the digital divide remains a challenge. Access to technology is not equal, with marginalized communities often lacking resources for digital literacy and connectivity. Bridging this gap requires investment in infrastructure, education, and policies that promote inclusivity. Technology's societal impact also extends to issues like surveillance, misinformation, and cybersecurity. Governments and organizations must balance innovation with regulation to protect citizens' rights and security. The future of technology will depend on ethical considerations, responsible governance, and public awareness. Mental health and productivity are deeply interconnected, influencing performance, creativity, and overall well-being. In workplaces, poor mental health can lead to absenteeism, burnout, and reduced efficiency. Conversely, a positive mental state enhances focus, motivation, and job satisfaction. Stress is one of the primary factors affecting mental health and productivity. High workloads, unrealistic expectations, and poor work-life balance contribute to stress and anxiety. Companies that prioritize employee well-being through flexible work arrangements, mental health programs, and supportive management see improved productivity and job retention. On an individual level, maintaining mental health requires self-care practices such as exercise, mindfulness, and healthy social interactions. Time management and setting realistic goals also help in reducing stress and enhancing productivity. The ability to recognize and address mental health challenges is crucial for long-term success and happiness. Society's perception of mental health has evolved, with increasing awareness and destigmatization efforts. However, access to mental health services remains a barrier for many, especially in underserved communities. Governments and organizations must invest in mental health infrastructure, making support accessible to all. The rise of remote work and digital communication has introduced new mental health challenges, including isolation and digital fatigue. Climate change, driven by greenhouse gas emissions, has led to rising temperatures, extreme weather events, and sea level rise. Reducing carbon footprints through renewable energy, energy efficiency, and sustainable transportation is crucial for mitigating its effects. Governments must implement policies such as carbon taxes and emissions regulations to drive meaningful change. Deforestation and habitat destruction threaten biodiversity and contribute to climate instability. Sustainable agriculture, reforestation, and conservation efforts are necessary to protect ecosystems. Additionally, promoting circular economies, where resources are reused and recycled, reduces waste and minimizes environmental impact. Pollution, including plastic waste and air pollution, affects both human health and the environment. Reducing single-use plastics, adopting green technologies, and enforcing environmental regulations can help address these challenges. Public awareness and individual actions, such as reducing waste and supporting eco-friendly products, also play a crucial role. Corporate sustainability practices, such as green supply chains and ethical sourcing, are becoming increasingly important. Companies that prioritize sustainability not only contribute to environmental protection, but also attract conscious consumers and investors. Education and advocacy are key to driving global sustainability efforts. Future generations must be equipped with knowledge and skills to address environmental challenges. By integrating sustainability into policies, business practices, and daily life, societies can work towards a more sustainable and resilient future.